How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. So, Catherine, for everybody just tuning in, I know who you are. I've been following you for a very long time since you're like JKO days, but why don't you kind of just give us a really great intro about who you are, who you dance for, and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So my name is Catherine Hurlin. I'm a soloist with American Ballet Theater. I've been with the ABT for, I think it's been like 8 years now. It's been a
Wow.
long time, but it's gone by like that. My goodness.
Time
I feel like
flies.
I literally just joined the company like
Yeah.
yesterday. But, um, yeah, I went through the JKO school. I actually was a competition kid before I went to the JKO school. So I did a lot of New York City Dance Alliance competitions and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. And then I joined JKO and I just went up the ladder
Yeah.
in the ABT system. So
Yeah, and I definitely want to hear about that. I want to talk about that a little bit today.
yeah,
Either maybe we can like kind of start with that, just hear how it was starting out, because I feel, and correct me if I'm wrong, you really stayed on track with one company, basically from pre-professional trainee to where you're at now, which is a soloist with a company. So can you kind of just like talk about that and like
yeah,
how that experience was, just staying on this one track?
yeah. So I love story ballets. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of my like the one thing that I really want to do is Romeo and Juliet, Manon, all of these stories ballets. And
Sure.
I went to see, my mom took me to see ABT a long time ago, like when I was younger. And I was just like mesmerized by the story, and she took me to see a bunch of other dances as well. I mean, she's dance connoisseur herself, but
Sure.
um, she, like, something about the ABT story ballets really captured me. And I think and also the fact when I was doing their summer intensives, I also
Mm-hmm.
did like their supering,
Oh, yes, of
and
course. Oh, those
I
are
did their
fun.
supering stuff. So I was backstage with them as a kid,
Yeah.
looking at these people in backstage and just being like, oh my God, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to become. This is the company. This is the family that I want to join.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that totally just motivated me to just keep going up the ladder with JKO and being super loyal and not
Yeah.
really experiencing anything. And looking back, I'm thinking, it would have been probably a little bit beneficial for me to go and experience other types of summer programs and stuff like that. But, at least I did a summer program.
Sure.
So
No, I get it. I honestly get it. I've had that love for story ballets, ABT. I mean, I feel like also if you look back on my history of who I interview, 95% are ABT dancers because I love ABT. I love everything they do. And very similar to, and I think a lot of younger dancers can probably relate to that because they're, taken to their first ballet, whether that's Nutcracker or maybe someone like Coppelia. And
mhm.
that's almost like where they fall in love and where they want to start
Right.
training.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, and I totally loved New York City Ballet, and I thought that they were amazingly athletic and just
yeah.
like so captivating everything. But something about like the acting along with dancing really, like, I was like really into that.
Yeah, yeah. So with that being said, would you say, do you have a preference for ballets like Giselle over ballets, more athletic ballets? Like where do you fall into with that?
Like, well, okay, Theme and Variations is an amazing, beautiful ballet.
Yeah.
It's one of the best, I think
Yeah.
it's so, the music and Serenade, the ballet I'll never get to do, unfortunately. Serenade, I mean, it's just the music is so beautiful,
Sure.
and it's one of my dreams to dance those pieces. But definitely when I think of, you know, my career and what I want is I really want to do the ballets. Like, I keep on saying Romeo and Juliet. It's just like the ballet that
Yeah,
keeps on coming up in my head right
I
now. But
get it.
And that in like Sleeping Beauty
Yeah.
and Capalia, Swan Lake, Don Q.
Of
I
course.
mean,
Yeah. I get
so
it.
all of that kind of like,
Yeah.
character kind of like I get to be another person
Sure. Sure.
is
And
fun.
really, like you said earlier, I mean, tell a story.
Hmm.
Really take your dancing, get that athleticism in there, but also tell a story. And I think that can really transition us well into just this conversation of what else dancers are in, as young dancers watching, more pre-professional dancers, it's so easy for us to get hyper focused in just
The
what we're
technique.
delivering and technique on stage. And like that is so important, but there is just so much more to being a
Yes.
dancer. Talk to us a little bit about how other experiences in your life can come into your roles on stage.
Right. So like character building. Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally. Totally. I mean, definitely this pandemic has definitely created a lot of character building for
sure, sure.
pretty much I think everybody in the dance community. Um yeah, no, I guess just like the fact that we're athletes, right?
Yeah,
Do this all this hard stuff, but on top of that, we have to make it look easy. We have to tell a story. We have to not only think, we have to become the character
yeah,
almost, and we totally have to like just completely dive into the story of the ballet. And I just like for future people want to say like, it's not only just about the technique, it's also about the artistry and about where you can take the audience during the
absolutely.
performance.
Absolutely. And what kind of brings me into my next question and how it relates to COVID is just the challenges that a lot of dancers do face over their, pre-professional years. Any challenges that you would say you faced in your journey as a pre-professional that you felt you were able to overcome or maybe are still working on overcoming?
So I was just recently talking about something that uh like if we're going to bring this into food related
Yeah,
things, of
yeah,
course. um I found out that it's really difficult for me personally, I don't know why, but to plan ahead
mm,
on like what I need for the day.
sure.
Like, and I think that it's probably because I live in the city.
Hmm.
Everything is accessible everywhere. You can just go get it and
Hmm.
everything. But there are days where, especially during Met season, um, where literally I'm too tired to
Yeah,
even have the meal. So it's really something like that was a big struggle. And even in my pre-professional life, balancing school and then like the commute to dance and everything, and just trying to fit in like time
yeah.
to eat.
Sure. And I think you bring up a really good point because I mean, even specifically, the Upper West Side in general, food is so accessible and there's so many different places. But at the same time, it's not just about that. It's also about, um, how can you fit it into a busy day between commuting and you
Right.
also have a lot on your mind.
Yeah, and also sometimes like sometimes I have 8 7 hour days where
Hmm.
I just go straight through. So
Right.
I can get something delivered, but that also takes time to get to like order it basically instead of
Right.
instead of planning ahead and bringing food from home and making sure that I have the right things that I need, the right calories, the
Yeah.
right, sustenance for me to do my day. Because
Yeah.
sometimes it's really hard when all you want to do is just sit down and fall asleep, or
Hmm.
all you want to do is just eat, or you forget.
Yeah. And what's so important for dancers specifically is that, you guys are athletes and exercise within itself blunts hunger. So you can easily go and push throughout your day, not even realizing you're hungry, and then probably be like slammed in the face at the end of the day feeling already exhausted, realizing that you haven't eaten, and or even maybe just haven't eaten enough, and then you're either famished or it's a struggle to really make sure you're getting in enough to meet your needs.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I still have sometimes, that problem of like making sure that I'm getting the right amount of protein and
Yeah.
like a well-balanced diet instead of just snacking all the time because I don't have enough time to eat a full meal, or just I get home at 11 o'clock at night and then I
Yeah.
have to eat my meal then, instead
Yeah.
of planning ahead,
Yeah.
making sure that I'm eating my meal before I go on stage and stuff like that. That's definitely totally something that I have to
Mm-hmm. Continue to work on.
continue to work on. And
Okay.
I encourage other people to make sure that they've got that down.
Yeah. I love that. Definitely. I will say with one benefit with quarantine though is that actually, well, I mean, we're kind of coming out of it now, but having been at home for so long, dancers were able to have a little bit more time to like get creative in the kitchen and, start
Totally.
experimenting. I
Yeah.
think, right now we're hopefully, heading into a bit of our new normal period of life, but
Yeah.
having said that, was there ever a time in your younger years, well, you're still young, but you know what I mean, like your pre-professional years versus now, where you kind of really started to put together the idea that your nutrition was playing a role in how you were dancing on stage?
Yeah. So I started doing Nutcracker with the company at an early age. I was Clara, first of all.
Sure.
And then not so much because, my mom took care of me, of course. So she made
Right.
lunch, made sure that she fed me.
Right.
But when we came to California, and I was with the company when we came to California. I was an apprentice when we were in BAM. Yeah. But even in BAM, like just keep on. It was just all about the scheduling kind of
Oh,
thing.
sure. Sure.
Just like trying to, okay, so now we have an hour before we have to come back and put the makeup on, and then check in, do all this kind of stuff. And oh, but you want to go to PT, so you got to go to PT first, and then you only have a half hour, and then you go grab, and what do you want? I'm so tired. I'm so not really hungry right now. And that's always been a thing too for me. Like I don't normally eat until I'm hungry.
Sure. Yeah. So this is something that I talk to a lot of dancers about because like I said before, it's so common. It's so common that dancers don't feel hungry. But
I mean,
I don't.
especially after like working out, you feel
Well,
that
exactly.
happens.
Exactly. And usually, like scientifically, your body is shunting your blood from your stomach to your extremities to move.
Right.
So it makes sense that things aren't really going on for your in the digestive tract. But
Mm-hmm.
having like a proactive approach, and this is where we think about convenience, especially, which probably would help you a lot, just like with going from point A to point B to point C, convenient snacks, having them be like bars and like trail mix and like things that you can take and throw in your dance bag. I feel like I'm always talking about that.
Yes, and it's definitely, I'm gonna fess up right now that I don't do that. I'm not.
Well, I'm hoping that I inspire you, Catherine. I'm hoping that I inspire you to
You
do that.
inspire me right. Yes, you're inspiring me right now to do all of that stuff. Yes, totally.
Awesome. So I know a lot of dancers, struggle with this. My next question is really about like body aesthetics. And, have you ever felt there's undeniably pressure in the dance industry to like look a certain way, for a lack of a better phrase.
Yeah.
How have you been able to manage any type of pressure, whether that pressure was there or maybe it wasn't there, maybe you didn't experience that? How would you say you're able to keep a positive relationship with your body while being immersed in a sport that is unfortunately very drenched in body aesthetics?
Yes. Sometimes I feel way more muscular than
Okay.
I want to be, especially in my like arms, and I have really broad shoulders.
Sure.
So sometimes I feel like like I almost want to not work out on my upper body because I'm like, I don't want to look like a man, but
Right.
but at the same time, like I need the strength in order to like do partnering and everything like that. So sometimes I wish, and this again like comes back to like for certain roles and stuff like that, I want to have a more mature presence
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
looking, and that's been such a struggle for me to try and find that. But that doesn't really have to do with so much like, you know, body weight or anything like that. I think it's just like how like my body is fine.
Sure, sure. And also knowing that, you know, I think a lot of younger dancers struggle with this idea of having to, you know, control what they're eating for the purpose of striving to look a certain way. And I think it's important for young dancers to know that a lot of what our body does look like is very genetic, and you know, trying to control that to the extreme can just really land us in some pretty unsustainable habits.
And you know, just having that like, you know, self-conscious look, and like you can see that they're in their head that like, oh, I'm not happy about it, or I'm not confident about it. It shows, and then that's what people are looking at, rather than if you feel comfortable in your body and you are making it work and you find ways to make it work for whatever shape, size, whatever you are, then people will like to watch you.
100%. And it really comes back to your ability as an artist to transcend an audience versus your ability as an artist to reach a certain number on the scale. Like it does, that's not what the audience is looking for.
No.
They're looking for how you are dancing on stage, and you know, however your body is and how what shape, size, whatever, you know, if you can transcend an audience and tell your story, you know, using your movement, then that says way more than striving for some number on the scale.
Yes.
So, with that being said, what about COVID-19? How have you felt challenged in regards to just, again, obviously things are starting to move in a better direction. I believe, are you in California to start performing now?
Yes.
Or awesome.
I'm in California now on an ABT bubble.
Awesome. That's great.
We have, we're doing performances in 2 weeks. Weeks. I've been here for 3 weeks already. So been here a long time. And then so I'm doing Grand Pas Classique. My goodness, it's like the complete opposite of what my actual dancing. I'm a little bit hurricane, as everybody calls me. Hurricane.
I wanted to ask you about that too.
And Grand Pas Classique is very like, you know, it shows your technique, and it's you know, classical. And so I think it's definitely pushing me. It's challenging me in a good way, because it's
awesome.
It's definitely like, you know, and also it's a bubble, so it's no pressure really.
Well, was it a challenge though, going from this, you know, being at home or being at your home studio? I think I saw you a couple times dancing way back, like at your home studio, right? Am I making that up?
I was, fortunately, I was able to take class in the studio in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Awesome.
So I was able to keep dancing, but of course not as much as I used to. I mean, still like the endurance is still something. It's an issue right now. With you know, like I am so exhausted just from 1 hour of rehearsal.
And I think a lot of dancers probably feeling this right now. I know a lot of the students are, for sure. Just like
totally. I mean, and I think totally. I mean, students, you know, they do ballet class, then point class, then they have their rehearsals, and then they have, you know, they do a lot.
And then that was kind of like really uprooted for the past year. And now as we start to get back, and I'm hearing a lot of students that are just so anxious about the idea of going to a summer intensive, because the one thing, and you can tell me if you can relate to this, but the one thing with COVID that was like somewhat comforting was that every dancer was in the same boat in regards to just being at home. And, you know, like when you're injured and you feel that everyone is dancing, but you can't, it sucks. But like
Yes.
with COVID, a lot of people were kind of
Yeah.
like we all felt it together. Whereas like now we're seeing like some places are going back, some aren't. Some people don't yet feel comfortable to go back. So I'm
Hmm.
sensing a lot more anxiety actually now than I did even at the beginning of the
Yeah, I
quarantine.
mean, totally. Even me, I'm already like, my goodness, I can't wait for these performances.
Yeah, sure.
I can't wait. I can't wait to start thinking, like, hearing news about what's coming next. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
absolutely. Yeah, the unknowns in of
everybody's,
itself.
yeah, and everybody, I just feel everybody's pushing for, oh my, what's next? What's next? What can happen? What can we do? What can we apply, like, join in on now? What is acceptable now? People are getting the vaccines. Does that mean that, like, by fall season we'll be able to do an actual season?
Yeah,
Like, what does
yeah,
that mean? Like, the
I
theaters
know.
are opening now. Does that mean that, like, we're going to be preparing for a show soon,
Yeah.
or should we
I,
not get our hopes up yet, or
yeah,
should
I
we,
know. I know. Oh,
I mean,
the unknowns are
especially with
killing
these
me.
variants too, I'm not really
Mm-hmm.
sure. Like, are we going to go up, have another spike, and then
Yeah.
think shut
Yeah.
down again? You never know. You never know.
Absolutely.
It's so, yeah, I definitely think that it's been really, but it's definitely been, better now
Mm-hmm.
than it was before. I think
Mm-hmm.
before, everybody, it's funny because I think the first few weeks I was so thankful
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To have a
that it was
break.
happening, because I
Yeah.
was so tired and I
Yeah.
was like, I need a
Sure.
break.
Sure. Like 12 months later.
Yeah.
How are you?
I was like going non-stop.
Yeah.
And then we finally get this break, and it was like lasted for like, what, 3 weeks, and I was like, all right, are we going back?
Yeah, right, right. 12 months later.
And then, yeah,
Um,
right, 12 months later, now we're starting to, like, kind of come back.
so with that being said, because you have performances coming up, tell me, do you have like a go-to snack that you might eat like before a performance or maybe during your performance? Any like go-to situation that you do with food related?
So I definitely try and get some sort of protein, like a chicken sandwich or
Yeah.
some, and like something a little bit like what my one of my friends, Bella Boylston, loves to do, is have pasta before
Yeah, which is
before a
awesome for
show.
everyone listening because it's all carbs and that's like gonna give you that energy to push you through. And by the way, chicken sandwich, awesome. Like very
Yes,
balanced meal right there,
yes,
because you have protein and carbs. So that's awesome.
yes. So I so that's a big one, and then of course I love to get in all the electrolytes. And there's this one thing called a squincher. I don't
Hmm.
know exactly what the I we call them squinchers, but
Okay.
I love having a squincher before a show.
Hmm.
It's a little bit of a kick right before.
Oh,
I think it's
okay.
because I think it's sugar.
Ah,
To be honest, I
awesome.
think it's sugar. So I have a boost to, like,
Yeah,
wake me up a bit.
love it. Maybe there's a little caffeine in there also,
Probably.
like a jolt. Okay, all
I
right.
mean, especially during, when Met season starts to get really heavy and you need a little pick me up. And that's
Yes.
exactly what, you know,
Absolutely. I suggest that a lot to dancers, even if it's just like the last 30 minutes of a performance.
yeah,
Just something
yeah.
to just get you through like survival mode.
My company actually has a whole, like, jar, like, on the side. We have, like, our little kit stands that we bring
Sure.
there with us, right? And that, like, tape, scissors, water, all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is a little jar of candy.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
sometimes, like, even during the performance,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
also, one of my favorite things to do right before, is they have mints, those, like, lifesaver
Oh,
mints.
sure.
They have,
Love.
like, a fresh mouth,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
before doing
absolutely.
it.
That's
I
awesome.
I should brush my teeth, but I also love to taste
Okay,
it.
okay. I like that. I love it. I'll remember that next time I'm watching you. Next time I'm at the Met next year, I will remember that. Be like,
It's
did
one
she
of
brush
my,
her
like,
teeth before?
I don't
Okay.
know.
So, Catherine, I asked all the dancers the same question just to close things out, but how would you define a healthy dancer?
I would define a healthy dancer as a confident dancer. I
Hmm.
would define a healthy dancer as someone who is confident in what they're doing and what they're, what they believe in, what
Hmm.
they are eating, what they, they believe that it's they're doing the right things and they're happy.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
definitely think that there's something that has to do with like mental state has a big component to success in diet, in your job, in life. So definitely someone who's confident and happy is a
Yeah.
successful dancer.
Thank you. That's so true. And it also kind of just goes back to like the body talk that we were chatting about in regards to just being confident in the body that you're in instead of just
Mhm.
striving for something that's different, because that confidence goes a long way, of, like you said, in your food choices and building confidence in how you feel in your body and what you're eating and with your
Mhm.
friends and how you are,
Mhm.
in class. I think
Mhm.
confidence is so important for dancers. So thank you
Yes.
for that.
Yeah, and I think that like, once you have that confidence level down and you
Hmm.
feel confident in that you can do this and that you can get even better than what you are. And not to say that, like, you should be like, oh my God, I need to be better, blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm
Right.
saying is, you feel confident that what you are is what you are, but you also can be confident knowing that you can excel and be better than what you are even right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because you
definitely.
can do that. Everybody is capable of doing the impossible. Everybody is capable of, being even better than what they are. Not to say
Hmm.
that they aren't great already, but you
Right.
know.
Yeah, but it's also so easy for lack of confidence to be like the first obstacle in preventing someone from moving forward. So
Mm,
I think that kind of feeds into exactly what you're saying, with confidence being like the key in also progressing in whatever you're doing.
right, right.
Catherine, thank you so much. I honestly can talk to you all night. So I am going to let you go, but thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And, just always reach out anytime you have questions about
Yes,
nutrition or anything like that.
great. I will. Thank you.
It was so nice meeting you.
So nice meeting you. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.